Well, hello there. Welcome to my space. What are you guys doing there? I see you. I see each and every one of you. It's almost cool. I'm going to hypnotize you now. Okay, so I just wanted to add my 2 cents to the equation about Axl Rose, Bon Jovi, you know, who else? Vince Neil, David Coverdale, Robert Plant. A lot of these guys, I mean, the list goes on. It seems like everyone's doing these greatest hits of the 80s tours lately. So we have all these old rockers. Everyone's saying that they have lost their voice. They lost their magic. So my opinion on this is complicated, but I'm going to try to keep it positive. I mean, I love a lot of that music. But the thing is, styles have changed. You don't hear a lot of vocalists who sing that way anymore. The majority of these vocalists are singing in something called mixed voice. Now, you look at YouTube, if you're a singer, if you're a musician, then you probably know about mixed voice. If you're not, then you have no idea what mixed voice is. Mixed voice is basically you got a chest voice, right? That's your full voice. Then you got a falsetto or your head voice. That's going to be a light, airy falsetto, you know? And then basically it's a mode 1 and a mode 2. Now in between is this mode 1.5, which is called mixed voice. Oh my God, imagine that. Now some people, a lot of singing coaches, they describe mixed voice as like a magic trick. It's like, it's something that really shouldn't exist. Now, a little bit of a darker interpretation, my interpretation, is not really natural. There's no logical reason that you should ever use a mixed voice in your day-to-day life. It's basically tricking your body into doing something it doesn't really want to do, it doesn't really need to do. Even if you're talking to someone or yelling at someone, you might slip into it accidentally. But it's using the vocal cords, the vocal folds are resonating in a way that they're not meant to resonate. It's kind of unnatural, it's kind of spooky, it's kind of just depends on how you look at it. But there's tons of interest in mixed voice to this day. I mean, look on YouTube, you're going to see millions of people are trying to find out how to use their mixed voice. It's kind of like the holy grail for singers, you know, especially for male singers. Of course, women also have a mixed voice, but a lot of times they don't need it. You know, they can get up to those notes without it. Especially for guys, though, they want to get up into a higher range. The falsetto has no real power behind it. It's just kind of an airy sound. But to get to the point, mixed voice is basically when you can sing those high money notes, but you have that nice, full, thick presentation. When you're trying to hit like a C5, you don't want it to be like a wimpy little falsetto. You want that to be like a strong Adele type of sound. You're going to use mixed voice. Now, a lot of the modern pop singers, they're totally using mixed voice, whether it's The Weeknd or whether it is Ed Sheeran or, I don't know, Shawn Mendes, any of these guys. But they're using it in a different way than the guys from the 80s used it. I mean, guys like Axl Rose, guys like Bon Jovi, David Coverdale, Vince Neil, Bruce Dickinson. They're trying to use a much more powerful, supported, almost operatic mixed voice. And again, styles have changed where that's just not considered as cool anymore. It's also just, you know, part of a culture change where that type of intensity is almost like laughed at. Now, personally, I love it. I love like a great rock singer. I also love a lot of these guys like The Weeknd. You know, I think he's got a great voice, but they're using a much lighter type of mixed voice. It's not so strong or operatic or like, you know, such a strong vibrato, any of those things. It's a much lighter, bordering on falsetto. Even their chest voice is a lot more breathy. You know, call it the Weeknd Billie Eilish effect. And I love a lot of that. But I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's a lot harder to do what Axl Rose or a Bruce Dickinson or a Jeff Tate. It's way harder to do what they're doing than it is to do what someone like Shawn Mendes is doing. Now, would I rather listen to The Weeknd than Guns N' Roses on a regular basis? Honestly, yeah. I mean, I was never a huge Guns N' Roses fan. That's the truth, but I respect Axl Rose as an artist. But that's the thing that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. The reason these guys are struggling is they set the bar so high for themselves. I mean, in the 80s and early 90s, everyone was just shooting for a higher standard or trying to like create something that was really memorable and intense and legendary, epic. And I love epic music. So it's just a different mentality. So it's very hard for these guys who are like in their 60s or even 70s sometimes that they could reach that legendary status, in their 60s. I mean, think about it. Versus, The Weeknd, there's nothing where he's belting in those high ranges. Very, very little belting going on. So The Weeknd can probably continue to perform his songs into his 60s and 70s. But when you're belting notes, like C5, D5, F5, and you're trying to get that same type of power that you'd have in your chest voice, your voice is going to crack, it's going to slip, it's going to break into falsetto, crack, go back into your chest. It's going to do all kinds of things. And the other thing is mixed voice requires a lot of practice. I'm a singer. I've always had a great falsetto. I've always had a really strong chest voice, and I haven't been at this as long as any of these guys I'm talking about, but I never was able to sing mixed voice until just really like the last 5 years, and now I practice it every day. I feel like, as these guys are getting older, they're not practicing this stuff every day. I think you could continue to have that strong mixed voice into your 70s if you practice every day, but again, it's kind of like a magic trick. It's kind of like you're fooling your body into doing something it's not meant to do. So if you think about it like that, when people criticize Axl Rose, man, he's trying, and it's tough. You try to do what he does. You try to do what he does on his worst day. Unless you're professionally trained, you're gonna have a tough time. So I give all credit. I mean, I don't really have an answer here. Should Axl Rose give up? Should these guys stop touring? Bon Jovi especially just sounds like he's gone tone deaf, or maybe he's got a little bit of dementia, or he's got like extreme hearing loss. Something's going on with Bon Jovi specifically. He's kind of the worst of the lot lately. For him, I'd actually say he should probably take a break, go back to a vocal coach, or maybe just not do live performances. The other thing is most of these guys are not releasing new albums. So I don't know, are they just doing this for the money? Are they just doing it for like one last thrill to get up in front of millions of people? I don't know what their reasoning is. I mean, if I was most of these guys and my voice was obviously struggling on these older songs, I'd just keep it to the studio. If I love making music, I'd keep it in the studio, which is mainly what I'm doing in my career anyway. I'm very interested in working on an album, but with modern studio magic, Axl Rose could sound just like he did 20 years ago. If I was Axl, that's what I'd do. Keep it to the studio. All these guys are really based on, Robert Plant. Robert Plant was at least 10 years before any of these guys. That whole 80s thing with them singing in those high mixed voices all came from Led Zeppelin. All came from Robert Plant, and he's the first to tell you that. I mean, there's tons of interviews where he basically trashes anyone who copped his style, which is basically every 80s rock singer. But if you listen to Robert Plant now, he barely sings in his mixed voice. He pretty much keeps everything in a low chest voice. He's really singing pretty much in my natural range of chest voice. He's got a lower voice as well. But again, styles change, If you're Snoop Dogg, and this is nothing against Snoop Dogg, I think everyone kind of universally loves Snoop Dogg no matter who you are. But let's be honest, his style of music is not so challenging. Snoop Dogg will be able to do Snoop Dogg vocals when he's 100 years old. No problem. No problem. When you set the bar so high with Axl Rose or Bruce Dickinson or, Jeff Tate or Sebastian Bach, and some of these guys can still sing those songs. But obviously, it's going to be a lot tougher in a live situation. Your voice is going to crack, you're going to mess up, and now you have internet scrutiny on just what might have been 3 seconds of your performance, and people just keep replaying those 3 seconds. So I'm sure it's not making him feel too great. In fact, I heard that he was trying to have a lot of that footage pulled off of YouTube. And I give these guys all credit. Again, I don't really have an answer. Should Axl Rose quit? Should these guys stop playing live concerts? I don't know what their reasoning is. I'm sure they don't really need the money at this point. And they're just kind of getting slammed out there, by the internet mafia. Most of them are doing pretty damn good, honestly, considering the difficulty of the material. So give them some credit. Remember their legacy. Don't focus on a few minutes of fuck-ups. A lot of these guys have written incredible songs. Even Bon Jovi has written incredible songs like Runaway. Great fucking song. Great fucking song. It's no Leonard Cohen, but it's a good pop rock song. And that's basically it. Till next time.